Hey, welcome back. This is the Struggle Bunny Invitational to the North Side Slip and Slide.
Atta boys.
Well, here's most of the gang that showed up, and you might be asking the question, what is the Struggle Bunny Invitational and why is it called the North Side Slip and Slide? It's not quite a porn movie, but it could be. So what is it? Well, it's an idea that was born in Lance's head and something that he's talked about for some time, having a ride up here on the north side of Fredericton. So it is a very wet day, and these little stream crossings are twice as deep as they normally are, and Struggle Bunny here is about to get his face washed. That's okay. Struggle Bunny's going to end up on a bike here shortly, but we're not going to give any names or show any faces.
I fell in the water.
Oh, but something's got to happen here.
Yeah, I know.
Here comes the bunny.
Oh. Did that 100 times.
Hold on, Matt.
Right.
Give us the name, give us the situation, why you deserve the bunny.
Corey Brown. I fell in the first water crossing.
Yep, we weren't 10 minutes into the ride before we had our first casualty, but you know what? That wasn't a big deal. Managed to dump the water out of the pipe, clear out the cylinder, wring out the air filter, and he was back in business and back on the ride. It's Nathan there in front of me. That's Lance's brother on the big 500, and as much as he maintains that there are gears other than first, second, and third, I think he had a pretty good time on this ride. For this ride, I am riding sweep to make sure everybody stays on the trail and doesn't get lost back here. It's mostly beat in, but there's a network of trails, so you could find your way going left when you should go right. And at other times, I'm running ahead to try and get video of everybody coming, and so that works out pretty good. Got Cassandra here in front of me contemplating this next big water hole. Not going to be a problem. She gets across it, and I don't know what tire she's rocking there, but it works out really well. I thought I was going to get sprayed with mud here, and I actually made the comment to Jeremiah right beside me here.
Across is across. Here it comes. Nice.
Man, that tire works good.
That does.
Well, it's a good working tire, and that's some good clutch control by Cassandra. Next up in front of the camera, that's Garth right in front of me on the YZ. And he's ridden in these trails a few times, well, probably more than a few times, so he knows them quite well. Leading into the weekend, we were doing quite a bit of hand-wringing looking at the weather forecast. It was just going to rain, and we were trying to pick a day, Saturday or Sunday, where there would be less rain. Colin was saying Sunday, we said Saturday because it was going to be nicer. And anyway, we followed Colin's advice and ended up on Sunday and got this wet weather. I don't know. Thanks, Colin. Or was that the other way around? Maybe we were wrong and Colin was right. Nah. Somewhere over the years we have become fair weather riders. I'm not sure when that happened, but it might be that we're just spoiled and we have a reasonable amount of ride time. But I do remember when it was you ride as much as you can every day if you could, and you didn't care whether it was rain or shine, mud or whatever. Not so much now, but this was actually a pretty good reminder that every now and then getting out on these sloppy days is a heck of a lot of fun. So just to my right is a beaver dam, and that's a relatively new thing. Beavers have moved into the area and they're starting to dam up all the waters, and that's starting to become a bit problematic. You can only tear down the dam so many times before you need to relocate the beaver.
Yep. So you're good now. Just straight across. Or not.
To say that the trails were wet would be an understatement, so some of these hills were getting pretty slimy and you just needed a little helping hand to get up them.
No problem. Good stuff. Oh, is it burning up?
So there's Scott, and that bike is the bike that he's been learning on, so it's been looped out and dropped and banged around quite a bit, and it's going to need some love over the winter, but that's okay. Scott's learning. He's got a lot more clutch control than he had at the beginning of the year, so he's not looping the bike as much. The bike just needs a little TLC, and Scott just needs a little patience. He's getting there. Well, that brings us to the end of the first loop, and that represents maybe a third of the trail we want to show people, maybe a quarter. So we've got a long ways to go, and this is actually taking us a little bit longer, so we have to renew our time appreciation to how far we're going to get today. And that's okay. Today was all about having a social ride and getting everyone together at the end of the season. Speaking of social, right in front of me is Kev, and he's one of the people I like to socialize with whenever I get the opportunity. I imagine at this point that the north side slip and slide is starting to make a lot of sense to you if you're watching this and you've not ridden this stuff. It's pretty sloppy right now.
Rock, 18 bikes now. A big group.
Yep, the group just got a little bit bigger because we just picked up Gene. He's been over here waiting for us on McLeod Hill, and now we're going to ride YZ Kids stuff, head over to Bear Trap, and then on to Golf Balls, Schooner, and Volcano. Yeah.
It'll be a greasy hill.
A little pause here to play on the hill. Let Caleb and Ezra build some new tracks for us, which they were doing as they found some new lines. Kind of hope to wear them out a little bit, but that's just not going to be the case for those young fellas. We'll have them back when we have a small group and we can ride through here at a little more competitive pace. So through some quick edits, and for the reasons of keeping this relatively short and not the several hours long that this ride has been, I've gone through Golf Ball, Schooner, and now Volcano right here in front of us. and there's a lot more to ride. We just don't get to it today. It is nice to get a bunch of bikes in through here and kind of beat the trail in. We've been rolling a few rocks out of the way every now and then just to keep the trail in good shape, but having a bunch of bikes really helps and does the job much faster.
We tore out a bunch of rocks on Friday. It's not too bad now.
So Lance took everybody that wanted to go for another loop of Schooner and Volcano around. That's about a 5-minute loop. So here comes Lance, and I think that's going to be Caleb next, and Ezra right behind them. And that's good. Good to wear those young guys out, but I think they're putting a little pressure on the old guy.
Just done. Nice. So smooth. Getting her done.
Well, this isn't a bad spot to culminate, and culminate we do. We had planned to keep going and cross over, but we're going to run into some issues. Well, I'm going to run into some issues, and then Lance is going to run into some issues.
Well, Struggle Bunny goes to me today. Bike won't start. So we handed it around for a flooded bike, and now it's to a non-starting bike.
So some issue with my bike. The 54-hour review wouldn't be complete with at least one fault, and this is the only fault I've ever had. But the bike won't start with the starter. We had to bump start it.
Motherfucker!
Okay, that time it started with the
start.
starter, but
It turned
last
over,
time
but
it
she
wouldn't,
wouldn't start.
and now it's going to do that again.
Today are not like
And now,
Had that all apart.
yeah.
Fucking thing.
Was it doing that?
Started, man.
Well, I wasn't even chugging over that hard.
Fuck, Dave, brand new bikes, we're having problems.
I know.
We're going to sell them all and get Yamaha. Why is that 250?
Find a bicycle.
Buy a bicycle.
Well, that's probably not the last ride for the year, but that's the invitational.